Hello, good morning, evening, or afternoon, night, whatever you wish. Good day, and welcome back to a mission a day number 4. In this episode, we will be attempting a mission, and let me just grab it here from the plugin. The mission to the moon, the first mission. The goal is simple: get into an orbit around the moon between 10 kilometers and 900 kilometers, so quite a wide range available there, and then get back to Kerbal. The mission doesn't specify it, but I've decided this has to be done with a probe. So far in the space program we've only done manned flights on and around Kerbal, but now with the new R&D, the new technology, we have probes available, and going to the moon we will be using such a probe. Let me show you the vessel I have created for this mission, the mission number 4, aptly titled name, and it is a slightly larger rocket than what we are used to. We start out with the probe core. It's a small one on top here, and I put a little antenna on top of it so it can transmit its data back. Under that we have the science bay for the all-important science, 2 fuel tanks, 3 goo canisters, and a whopping shit ton boatload of batteries. Whatever expletive you prefer, use it. We are carrying a lot of them. We need this of course because we don't have solar panels yet. We don't have radio thermal generators, the RTGs, radioisotope thermal generators, the nuclear batteries. We don't have them, we just have the quadruple A batteries from this battery pack. Holds 2 quadruple A batteries, so it's not a lot. I'm hoping this will be enough to power the probe for the whole duration of the mission. If not, the ship will be lost. And in fact, this pinch of power, this problem with the power system, is also the reason why the upper stage of this probe is quite large and is fitted with the large engine instead of the small one, because the large one does generate power. So our burns around the lunar space will in fact generate power for our return trip. Here then we have the lifter stage. I have opted for a triple liquid stack here with a small center stack with a small but efficient engine, and then 2 outer boosters with powerful yet slightly inefficient liquid engines. 2 of the new powerful SRBs for that liftoff thrust. And the main thing I'm concerned about when pressing this launch button is whether or not this ship will stand on the pad. I'm thinking with the science we do here, it might be smart to invest in some launch clamps, because as the vessels get larger, they will get more unstable. For now though, it bounces around a little bit, but so far so good. We are going to start with a science sample here from the bay. We get 7.5 science points and we transmit that back home, which is right 1 meter away, for a whopping 20% of that. Here we can see it's uploading the data, taking all the power, but that will be generated back quite enough for a measly 1.5 points. I'm not too happy about that. Anyway, on to the launch. So that took quite a while on the small engine. Fortunately we can now use the big one to round out our orbit and then start a lunar insertion burn at the tried and trusted point when the moon rises over the horizon. You can watch me do that now. So here we are, moon encounter all set up. We have a full battery, so we can probably permit ourselves to do a little bit of science transmitting before we leave the area. Let's have a look at this goo. 2 science value for 40%. Well, I'm gonna send it off anyway. And look at the materials bay one more time. Still, the microgravity has greatly affected the growth of crystalline structures. Loose objects are flying around the bay in a very messy but fascinating way. Transmit that, please. And as you can see, we are quite low on fuel, lower than I would have hoped. We haven't even got a full tank remaining. However, we are on a trajectory to the moon, and I did not forget to start the mission this time. Great. Just a brainwave there. We're on the way to the moon. Hopefully we have enough fuel to circularize once we are there, as the mission requires, and then to get back to Kerbin. We will be seeing that shortly. First, I'm time warping to that point. And keep an eye on the electricity here. Hopefully I will have packed enough batteries. If this gets too low, I'll be forced to stop and make a recharging burn with the big electricity generating engine. So here we go at 1000 times time warp, 10,000 times, so slow that right down. And when you transfer into the different sphere of influence, you want to be at a not too high amount of time warp, because then you get precision errors. So 100 times should do it, I think. We had 151 kilometers here, and then after the transition, which happened now, we are at still 151, so this was not too bad at all. So we are here in the lunar sphere of influence. This means it is about time to start doing some experiments. We are very high, we are at 1900 kilometers, and these are the experiments we will be bringing back to Kerbin, so they will not be transmitted. Observing the mystery goo here, and high in space over the moon. The goo feels right at home here. Well, that's good, keep the data. And we are going to do the materials bay. See what that does. This is the high radiation space environment, 75 science points. We are definitely going to keep that. And now we are going to circularize our orbit and get into a lunar orbit as our mission requires. Since we don't have a lot of battery, we are going to push the limits of the mission and not drop this down further than we have to. 900 kilometers was specified. We are going to go with 846, so have a look while I do that now. So as you can see, the mission controller has been satisfied. We can hide this. All we have left to do now is to do our science and return back home to Kerbin. We are now in low lunar orbit. Well, low, that is of course relative. We are at 150 kilometers. The materials bay, I'm quite happy with the 75, but we will be passing through the high space again, so I'm going to ditch this data and see what we get when we are closer. If that is more, we are going to bring that back instead. Is this still 75? It still counts as high space, so we haven't dropped down quite far enough to the moon yet. And we are not going to do this on this mission. This is a flyby, and we are not going to alter our trajectory any more than we have to. So let's have a look at this mystery goo. The goo seems to be less dense here. Sure, keep that data please. So, and this goo canister, well, I suppose we are going to keep it. We're going to have some duplicates, but as you might know, in science, having more of one, having more results of the same experiment, thank you language skills, having more results of the same experiment in science is never a bad thing, because then you know if you are at all correct or not. So we're going to plot a maneuver here to leave the moon again and see if we can fiddle this so it ends up with us being close to Kerbin. So this should just about do it. We want our maneuver to drop us into the atmosphere of Kerbin, so there the aerodynamic friction will slow us right down and capture us. We will require just under 300 meters per second of delta V for this final maneuver, and I think we easily have this in our tanks. So until we're back on Kerbin, back goes the time warp, or up goes the time warp. See you in a bit. And as we float down here on our parachutes, excuse me, we can reflect on the mission, of course. We did a few things that are slightly suboptimal. We could have dropped down closer to the moon, got more science in. As of now, we have a duplicate goo canister, which is of course a bit of a waste. It penalizes you for doing the same science over and over again. And we brought a little bit too many batteries. We still have about 700 electric charge left. On the other hand, this is precisely what would have allowed us to drop down closer to the moon, as well as the fuel. It looked a little bit hairy on the way up, as that ascent stage really had to burn for a long time, and then there was quite a big delta V deficit. We didn't quite make orbit on the ascent stage. This made me a little bit nervous, combined with the battery problem that I hadn't worked out, just sort of guessed. Jesus, my voice is really messed up. I hope it's better like that. So the electricity problem that wasn't real, combined with the fuel problem that wasn't real, precluded us from doing all the science that I wanted to do in the first place. So a little bit of a pity there. All in all, still a successful mission. And look at this. This is the recover vessel button. I found this on a YouTube video from Goose6. At least I think that's his name. Goose6 is on the Kerbal Space Program forums, and he showed me this button, which is quite nice, meaning we don't have to go to the tracking station to recover the vessel. So let's try that. Hit recover, and everything is apparently sorted right then and there. So I hope it will give us a nice overview of the science we earned. We did a material study while in space high over the moon, which is of course great. We observed the mystery goo twice on space over the moon, so we got 30 and 13. This is the penalty for doing it repeatedly. And we had some high space. Oh no, this is the penalty. 13.3 to 5.9. That's the penalty for doing it repeatedly. Do we have... This is the triple penalty. We did 3 times the same observation with the mystery goo, so that's not very good. We could have dropped down lower or did one of the goo observations in Kerbal orbit. Anyway, what's done is done. We did the science, we learned the things, and we recovered the vessel from in orbit around the moon, which gives us a handy 16 science, for a total of 104.3 science earned on this mission. Our science points now are at 163, and oh shit. Damn it! I forgot to hit the finish the mission button. I'm gonna see if I can edit that in, because obviously we did finish the mission. Not going to worry about that for now. For now it's gone to the R&D station, and we have to decide on what we are going to spend our science points. Well, first things first is we are going to get the general construction one to get launch clamps and struts to make these launches a little bit more convenient. Then we can look here, we can have the bigger fuel tanks and the radial rockets. Not completely what we need. We have still the rockets we have still suffice for the jobs they need to be doing. Here the fuel systems gives us a small Rockomax engine, a round tank, RCS systems, fuel ducts, and oh, we get RCS and we get fuel transfer. This is amazing, because then we can make efficient rockets that transfer their fuel. It's 90 science, so it would wipe out all the points we have so far. We can get advanced construction, we can get mission controller repair panel. Oh, this is for missions that require us to repair it, so this is not specific. Another fuel tank, structure of fuselages, a large decoupler, an adapter to go to the bigger... This is the bigger stuff. Now, so far we're fine with the small stuff. Aerodynamics, jet engines, don't need that for now. Advanced flight control, no, so far. We have a probe core, we don't need that. Electrics, solar panels, we need this. This is what we need. A rechargeable battery bank and the solar panels and lights. We need this, we need this. Space exploration, ladders and thermometers. That should do us some science, but not... We don't need that right now. And landing bays and micro struts. This is for rovers maybe. No, first we are going with the power systems, getting some solar panels so we can do away with the massive stacks of battery banks. So research that. And that wipes out pretty much all our science. So on to the next mission. If I can hack this mission to allow it for the next time, we are going to land on the surface. A one-way trip, so it's going to be a probe again. This is for tomorrow. This afternoon I'm going to try and hack this plugin so it will let me do the mission I want. It will credit me for the mission that I just completed because I stupidly forgot about that. That's a disadvantage. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like it, subscribe, leave a comment, and do all that good stuff. See you guys next time, and goodbye.